And now that I've put in over 40 hours into Seasons 2.0, it's time to download my thoughts. Let's get into this.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
Seasons 2.0 delivers a new seasonal architecture. So they replaced manhunts with something called scouts. They reworked the season pass system. We now have something called journey, as well as priority objectives. And then we have the modifiers. Those are the main components. And boy, were things in a rough state at launch. So we had lots of bugs that were causing people to over purchase for the premium pass. We had a bug that actually boosted you from the beginning to level 100 of the premium pass just by completing a single activity. We have audio bugs, deltas all over the place, server stability issues, and a laundry list of glitches related to the modifiers. And now you're up to date. They just launched Title Update 22.1, and I gotta say, I'm super disappointed with this patch. And if we move at this pace, it's going to be a very long season indeed. Before we get into all of that, I'm gonna let you know where I'm at with each one of these core elements. So starting with the scouts, I'm actually pretty pleased with this. I think it's a nice way to engage with the story for the season. The UI is nice, although we're doing familiar activities like we used to do in the last manhunts. This way it's more bite-sized and isn't as tedious as it was in past seasons. And you have to unravel riddles in order to figure out what to do, and that adds a little bit of fun to the manhunt. As far as actual story being revealed during the manhunt, well, there's not much there. There's a lot of opportunity here to build in suspense on a week-to-week basis, and they're kind of missing it. So although the structure is there and it sets up elements of mystery that are really intriguing, the depth is really shallow. What's revealed by completing the activities boils down to just an audio blip from Anna, and it's sort of nonsense. As far as the seasonal pass goes, to tell you the truth, I've sort of been ignoring it. Yeah, partially because it unlocked for me in a single session, and so I got my exotics right away, but the rest of this stuff is sort of just not really that great. And actually, it's pretty consistent with previous reward tracks that we've had, but for some reason this season, it just feels so much more underwhelming. Probably because there's so much more emphasis on the modifiers this season. So yeah, let's get into that. There's two ways to really unlock the modifier. So you have the global modifier, and that one's already unlocked just by activating it. Then you have active modifiers and you have passive modifiers. So the passive modifiers you can only unlock by completing priority objectives, which is a new RNG based interface system that basically gives you projects and rewards. And this priority objective system is actually really cool. I wish we had this a long time ago when I was more interested in doing these. But for new players, yeah, this is where it's at. If you need to farm exotics and XP, this is just one more way to do it. It's not the best way, but it keeps you from doing the same task like countdown over and over for those exotics, or always relying on global events or directives. It's a nice way to change it up, and it's a very well designed system. So whoever did this, yeah, kudos to you. For all of us veteran players that have been playing for a really long time, we don't really need exotics. We definitely don't need XP. So I engaged with the system primarily just to get my passive modifiers, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I didn't love all the activities that assigned me, but they come and they go, so it's cool. Then there's the journey. Boy, oh boy, the scouts and the journey should be merged together, because when you complete the scouts, you're gonna get a climax mission, which also delivers an exotic, which has nothing to do with the journey. And so I feel like by completing the journey, you should get access to that climax mission. But no, we have to wait 14 weeks in order to access that climax mission, or the end of the season sometime. And that sucks, man. That's like way out there. But let's get back to the journey for a minute. So this journey was extremely grindy. I mean, wow. They took some of the rewards that you would normally get with the old season pass and wrapped them into this. So basically the journey is broken into 7 missions, and each mission has 8 objectives. The objectives are basically just a list of activities, and missions, well, they don't really exist. They're basically chapters to a giant list of things that you got to do, and each chapter is more intense than the previous one. When you complete all 7 journeys, you unlock the Carmine mask, which is a nice little piece of apparel. You get 3 exotic caches, and the other stuff is just typical gear that we would normally get from the rewards track of seasons past. What's also part of the journey are the active modifiers, and they're actually pretty important to the seasons, and they'll continue to be going forward. You don't start to unlock those until you get to Journey Mission 4, and you unlock all of them at the end of Journey Mission 6, and then your final one gets you the apparel item and the exotics. By the time I got to Mission 7, I was just exhausted of these. I mean, they were so grindy, and I know they don't want you to finish these in a day. The NPCs have all of their modifiers with things like unlimited shock ammo on day 1, and you don't have crap. So if you want to play everything that the season has to offer, then you're gonna want to unlock all of your modifiers as soon as possible. So yeah, you're gonna wanna grind these out ASAP, and that was exhausting. I guess they were okay with us being at an even more disadvantage than we've ever been for what I'm guessing is several weeks to unlock all of these missions if we were to do this at a realistic pace. And so besides being grindy, what makes them really difficult is they force you into playing by a prescribed way of playing. You might have heard coming into this that modifiers aren't required, but they absolutely are. You can't complete mission 4, 5, and 6 or 7 unless you have modifiers equipped, which means the enemies going to have their modifiers. So yeah, the journey is just a drag. The real purpose or the juice that's coming from this squeeze is actually the active modifiers. So if you've decided that modifiers aren't for you, then the journey isn't for you either. So the community is more divided than ever. On one side, you have people that are liking the modifiers. On the other side, you have people that despise them. And my 2 cents is that I think both parties actually agree on what's horrible about the modifiers. I think the difference is the tolerance levels, and some were able to endure to discover what potential these modifiers have, while others got a taste of that first impression and were like, yeah, no way I'm gonna turn these on. But the game is just in a bad place, and that is what's creating the divide within the community, and this is not a healthy place. One of the biggest arguments is whether there's new content or not. My position is that there is new content. It's the modifiers and this climax mission that they've decided to put at the very end of the season, so far beyond launch that they might as well just toss it in with season 3. But if you're not participating in modifiers, and because everything is so intertwined around modifiers and will continue to be going forward, then there is no new content. And that puts the player base in a really tough spot. People are going to have to start making decisions because these modifiers are not going to go away. Whether we like it or not, these are integrated into the game. Half of the season is wrapped around these modifiers. You can't matchmake without encountering these modifiers, because one of the issues that we're having in the community is that if you have your modifiers turned off when you join another squad from random matchmaking, if somebody has their modifiers turned on, you're forced to play with modifiers. They're planning on fixing that, but we didn't get that fix in 22.1. And the way they're planning on fixing it is giving the leader the ability to decide whether modifiers are going to be turned on or not. But that's not necessarily a fix because there's no filtering system in matchmaking. So you might matchmake into a mission that's halfway through, find out they have modifiers, and then you're going to bail, because that's not the gameplay you were looking for. The real solution is to make modifiers so attractive that it won't turn people off when they join a group that has them activated. And to be honest with you, I can't imagine playing this game without the modifiers. From what I can see, because of what they provide as far as value, to not play with modifiers would be like not playing with your specialization equipped. And so this has to be addressed immediately, because within that group that have decided to not have modifiers activated, half of those people are patiently waiting for the hostile modifiers to be fixed. The other half experienced a failure at launch. Both of these groups have yet to experience Season 2, and the least the devs can do is make strides to get them the experience that they were hoping for immediately, and patch 22.1 should have done that. Here's the real deal on how I feel about them. The modifiers, our modifiers, are fucking amazing. They're really good. I really think they're onto something here. In my first impressions review video that I put out, I said, hey, look, there's no hurry to get into the seasons if modifiers aren't your thing because of all the bugs. But they're really onto something here, and they really do add to the experience in a really great way and actually diversify our builds. And it allows us to engage with our builds in whole new ways and add new layers of mechanics that are quite fun and powerful, but the enemy's modifiers leave a bad first impression and a lasting negative impression on the modifiers too. I can sympathize with the big chunk of the community that is saying modifiers, not for me. They're turned off. I get it. So for my over 40-hour season 2.0 review can be summed up to this. Title update 22.1 didn't bring it. And although they fixed the bug here and there and the deltas they corrected were big issues with the hostile modifier tuning and all the bugs that come with them, as of November 12th, title update 22.1, year 6, season 2 is still a disaster. And at this pace, it's going to be a very long ride. Thank you for hanging out with me today. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
What's crack-a-lackin'?
This was another episode of The Division 2. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The Division 2. And if you like builds like this, check out the recommended build video I have here for you. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy. Now maybe this cheapskate can afford to sign me up for that dating app I've had my eyes on.
Follow me.
I get it.